House as well. Now, beyond that, well, let's just talk about the Democratic brand. You know, Donald Trump's political brand ain't too hot to trot these days. But I got to tell you, PU, when it comes to the Democratic brand, the net favorability rating of the Democratic Party. You know, back in 2018, when Democrats, during the first Trump presidency, right, when they were able to win back control of the House, they were even. They were even, right? Favorable minus unfavorable, even at 0-0-0. Now look at this. 25 points underwater. Oof. Oof. You know, the Dem brand, as I said, it's not too good these days. It's not too good. It kind of smells like a New York sidewalk in the summer.
That support the president, the number was 100%. You believe it? In fact, he went wild. Harry, he went wild. It may be the last time he ever does the show, but these are okay. It was 100%. Even I was surprised at that. That was pretty good. But we won all 7 swing states by millions and millions of votes.
Hello there, friends. Welcome to the channel. Pull up a chair and make yourselves comfortable. Before we dive into today's story, if you enjoy hearing good, honest tales about our great country, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. And I am so glad you are here with me today.
You know, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins. Not the Democratic brand. You know, Donald Trump's political brand ain't too hot to trot these days. But I got to tell you, PU, when it comes to the Democratic brand, the net favorability rating of the Democratic Party. You know, back in 2018, when Democrats, during the first Trump presidency, right, when they were able to win back control of the House, they were even. They were even, right? Favorable minus unfavorable, even at 0-0-0. Now look at this. 25 points underwater. Oof. Oof. You know, the Dem brand, as I said, it's not too good these days. It's not too good. It kind of smells like a New York. These were the 2024 presidential results. Based upon redistricting, Trump won the median House seat by 5 points. My goodness gracious, that means that Democrats have to win at least one seat that Trump won by 5 points. What about in the United States Senate? It's even more difficult for Democrats. They have to win at least one seat that Donald Trump won, get this, by 13 points. Woof! That is very, very difficult indeed. So if the map looks anything like it did in 2024, well, Democrats definitely have their work cut out for them in the Senate and in the House as well. Now,
time for a reality check for the liberals who think the midterms are in the bag. The latest CNN poll found Democrats trailing Republicans by 4 points in total party approval. So why does America hate the Democrats so passionately? Perhaps Dana's former favorite Democrat, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. Listen, she explains why.
There was a poll out that had your numbers a little unfavorable, and then your predecessor, Glenn, was making a podcast run earlier this week to taking a couple jabs at you. I guess overall, on your numbers, what do you attribute that to, and then what would you say back to Glenn?
I would say, if everybody hated me, why is everybody putting my face on their mailers for the referendum, would be question number one.
And if you thought that was rough, check out Cory Booker's wife saying that standing almost killed him.
It's not super safe to stand for 25 hours. Like, your body kind of just like break down, and if you fall over you could hit your head. So like, those are the things that were going through our head. Like, yes, I wanted him to break the record, but I also wanted him to not die or like get injured. I wasn't gonna eat for a really long period of time. Like, just being dehydrated alone was like worrying me.
Your name was invoked, Dana, in the intro.
I will have to wear this forever. I was fooled by Abigail Spanberger. She asked a question. Why do they keep putting my names on these mailers? Because it's working against the Democrats. That's why they're putting the names on it. And in fact, a friend of mine said that their own polling shows that the most effective messages against Democrats in Virginia about this redistricting thing are when they are talking about her and putting her out there in her own words. So the other thing she did is she pulled this trick where she put out a press release saying, look at all these jobs I've created. And then she put out this press release, and it was like, no, I think some high percentage, like 85% of those jobs were created under Glenn Youngkin. So she's trying to take credit for something she didn't even do.
I mean, just take a look here. Okay, this is Congress National June polls, Dem leads, and this is NBC News, midterm years with the GOP press. Look at this. They're up by 5 points, but that's half the lead they had back in 2018 when it was 10 points, and less than half the lead they had back in 2006 with 11 points when Democrats took back the House in both of those years. And now the Democratic lead is on a single hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And it's this type of lead where you say, you know what, Democrats are ahead, but don't count your chickens just quite yet.
And Harry, we've been talking about this. As time goes on, you and I have kept on looking at these numbers saying it just doesn't look like the numbers we've seen when there have been waves for Democrats in the past. What are the trends in the other polls?
Yeah, okay, so this is not just one poll in which we are seeing this. There is this group of pollsters that are out there that are just not showing the wave you might expect given where the president's approval rating is. Okay, what are we talking about? We're talking about NBC, Marquette University Law School, in Ipsos. Look at where they were January and February, and look at where they are May and June. NBC, down a point. MU Law, down 3 points. Ipsos, basically staying the same. So the Democrats hold these leads, but again, you have this group of pollsters that are out there where this lead, simply put, is not matching what you might expect if you're expecting a Democratic wave.
And that's sort of in a vacuum. What about in a year?
Folks, gather round and listen close to me right now, because what I want to share with you is something that has been building up for a good while. And as we sit here together today, it fills this old heart of mine with real, bright hope for our great country. I am just a regular American man who has seen a lot of seasons come and go. I have raised a family, worked hard with my own 2 hands, and always believed in putting America first. And let me tell you, looking at the way things are turning under President Donald Trump's strong leadership as our 45th and 47th president is truly something to celebrate. You know how the news on television sometimes gets all wound up with very loud voices and big scary headlines? Well, right now there is a big story unfolding, and it is about millions of good, hardworking folks who used to call themselves Democrats walking away from that group to find a new home. Careful counts from the states that keep track of these things showed that party losing over 2 million registered voters recently, while Republicans picked up just as many. That is a giant shift of millions of people finding a new path. Even the big news stations covered these numbers, pointing out a real tough spot for the Democratic leaders. Some of the folks on those news shows looked pretty surprised as they went over the charts. It was not a sudden, tearful crash just yesterday, but the picture has become crystal clear as we talk. Right now, the party that used to speak for the working man and woman is losing them fast. You might ask why this is happening. Well, it is because leaders like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries kept pushing ideas that just do not sit right with everyday Americans anymore. They supported plans that sounded a bit too extreme, the kind of plans that worry the factory workers, the truck drivers, and the small business owners who built this nation from the ground up. They fought against simple, common sense ideas like basic voter ID laws, simple rules that just make sure every legal vote counts and keeps our elections fair and honest. Working class folks, who are the true backbone of this beautiful country, started looking around and saying, this is not the party I grew up with. They saw borders that were not safe, rules that were soft on crime, and a focus on everything except creating good jobs and keeping our streets peaceful. They felt left behind, so they started to walk away, looking for a leader who truly sees them. And that is where the hope in our story really begins to shine today.
Minds of the American public are weak, to quote the great Tony Blair. I mean, just look at this. Just look at these net approval ratings of Democrats in Congress. In late February, at the beginning of the war, it was minus 41 points, minus 39, minus 39. And so you're just looking at these numbers right here, and you go to yourself, no wonder what's going on at this point, that Democrats simply put cannot take the ball and run with it and actually in the polls be trusted more than run, because the Democrats in Congress simply put are not well liked. In fact, these are the 3 lowest on record in terms of percentage points for the approval for Democrats in Congress. So it all puts together a picture. Donald Trump and Republicans may not be like, but Democrats in Congress are really hated.
A lot of this is D on D crime. I mean, there are Democrats
way down there underwater. Take a look at this. Okay, the Democratic Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. I want to almost get my Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible. I can't even do a Charles Barkley. But the bottom line is it's absolutely terrible. Now, what is the reasons? Why is the Democrat
For you, and then they say my base. I said, no. MAGA's stronger than ever because MAGA's make America great again. But my MAGA people, which is the greatest phrase in the history of politics, it's the most important movement by far, probably in the history of the world. I mean, there's never been anything like this. And in fact, just a few days ago, you have to understand, the fake news right back, oh, that's a lot of fake news. Yeah, so you brought a lot of fake news with you. They must know you're going to make a speech at some point because look at the... But what happened is the fake news was saying, he may, they hope. It's like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy. They say, he may be losing his MAGA base. And that would be maybe the end of him. And then I happened to be watching CNN, which is terrible. They treat me terribly. In fact, just a few days ago, CNN had a poll that had me at 100% of MAGA voters. They said they've never seen anything like that. Can you put that up? I actually said if you could put it up. Do you have the technology to put it up? Go ahead, give it a shot.
I think it's time for a bit of a reality check, right? We were going to late April. Donald Trump's approval rating, his net approval seemed to be falling. He seemed to be adios amigos. People were writing his political obituary. He is rising from the dead. Look at this. Hello, Trump's net approval rating among voters. This is the Reuters Ipsos polling. Look at this. In late April, he was 8 points underwater. But look at where he was in the most recent poll among voters. He's up 7 points to a minus 1 point net favorability rating. This is not the picture I think a lot of people were thinking that we would be painting in late April. I think a lot of people expected his approval rate to keep dropping, but at least according to Reuters Ipsos, it's in fact rising.
Put this then in a larger perspective, Harry.
Yeah, okay. So, this is just one poll, right? But let's take a look across an aggregate of polls. What are we seeing here? And I want to compare both to where Donald Trump is now versus where he was in late April, as well as where he was at this point in term number one. What you see is at minus 6 points, he is a little bit worse off than he is in the Ipsos Reuters polling, but he is considerably better than he was in late April when he was 9 points underwater. And more than that, look at this. He's nearly 10 points better than he was back in May 16th of 2017 in his first term. So what we see is Donald Trump's not just doing better than he was doing in late April of 2025. He's doing considerably better than he was doing at this point in term number one, about 10 points better than he was doing at this point in term number one.
In a vacuum, minus 6 isn't good, but in Trumpian terms, against himself, it's actually a pretty good position for him to be in politically compared to himself.
Exactly right. This is considerably higher than he has traditionally been.
So the big question here is why, Harry? Why did it bottom out? Why might it be rising?
Okay, why? Well, take a look at the chance of a recession. It's actually falling. The chance of a recession is falling. In late April, it was 60% according to J.P. Morgan. Look at where it is now. It's less than 50%. How about Goldman Sachs? You see the same thing. 45%, now falling to 35%. The bottom line is, it is the economy, the economy, the economy. As the chance of a recession has fallen, as the trade wars have kind of collapsed a little bit, at least with China, Trump trying to make a deal, we do see that I do think that the voters are responding to this, and therefore we're seeing Trump's approval rating going up.
The tariffs were really hurting him, and he backed off, and it may be helping him politically now.
Sometimes Donald Trump has some pretty good political instincts.
Harry, thank you very much.
I remember talking to a good buddy of mine down at our local diner just a short while back. He is a lifelong Democrat from a hard-working steel town, just like a lot of folks in our generation used to be. He looked me straight in the eye and said something I will never forget. He told me I did not leave my party. They left me. President Trump is talking about bringing our good jobs back home. making sure our borders are safe, and putting everyday Americans first again. That is exactly what I want from my children and my grandchildren. Hearing that from him, a man whose strong hands have built the very bridges we drive on, really struck a special chord deep inside me. Friends, as we speak right now, beautiful stories exactly like his are popping up everywhere across our great land. Take, for example, a caring mother up in Pennsylvania. She shared with her neighbors how she simply had to switch her voting registration after seeing how terribly high prices had hurt her family's grocery bill under the old ways of doing things. It was breaking her heart to tell her kids they could not have their favorite snacks anymore. But then she watched how President Trump's careful focus on American energy and fair trade started easing those heavy burdens. She felt a brand new spark of hope. She felt like someone finally cared about her kitchen table, rather than just fancy politics. Then there's a young father down in North Carolina. He was watching the constant worry and chaos at our nation's border, and he simply decided enough was enough. He wanted his neighborhood to stay perfectly safe, so his little ones could ride their bicycles outside in the sunshine without any fear at all. He saw that President Trump wanted to build strong, safe communities where families can thrive in total peace. The folks making this big change are not rich people from big offices in Washington. These are real, wonderful people with dirt under their fingernails and a deep, pure love for the American flag in their warm hearts. This change is a massive, heartwarming win for the values that put America first. Pure and simple. President Trump did not just win an election to be our 45th and 47th president. He gently woke people up. His bold, brave leadership, the kind that clearly says America first, with no apologies, has shown millions of families that there is a much better, brighter path forward. Just look at what he is doing for us today. He is pushing for strong, safe borders so our peaceful communities stay completely protected. He is fighting hard for fair trade deals that will bring our quiet factories back to life, humming with wonderful jobs for good people. He is standing up tall for the fair rules of law so parents can send their kids to school with joy and without a single worry. Everyday Americans are feeling this good change in their lives. They are enjoying paychecks that stretch further and a comforting sense that someone is finally fighting for the forgotten men and women in the very heart of our beautiful country.
House as well. Now, beyond that, well, let's just talk about the Democratic brand. You know, Donald Trump's political brand ain't too hot to trot these days. But I got to tell you, PU, when it comes to the Democratic brand, the net favorability rating of the Democratic Party. You know, back in 2018, when Democrats, during the first Trump presidency, right, when they were able to win back control of the House, they were even. They were even, right? Favorable minus unfavorable, even at 0-0-0. Now look at this. 25 points underwater. Oof. Oof. You know, the Dem brand, as I said, it's not too good these days. It's not too good. It kind of smells like a New York sidewalk in the summer.
In Senate, Rogers versus Elside. Look at this, a new Fox News poll. Rogers is actually up by 4 points. He's up by 4 points. It's close, but a Republican is ahead in Michigan. And why? Why? What is going on? Look among independents. Rogers actually leads by 5. This is extremely unusual because across the political map, as I was looking at these different Fox News polls, I couldn't find another example where the Republican was actually leading among independents. And it turns out that candidate quality may in fact matter, at least in terms of how voters see it, because in this same poll, the Democratic candidate for governor was ahead. So this is unique to the Senate race, and it is quite a troubling result for Democrats and quite a heartening one for Republicans.
So do you have a sense then, Harry, of what it is that is contributing to the struggles, right, that Abdul El-Sayed is it that Rogers is a stronger candidate, or is it that El-Sayed has more issues for voters to deal with?
It is all about Abdul El-Sayed. He is a weak candidate, at least by the metrics that we normally look at. And you can just take a look here. Okay, the net favorability rating of the Dem Senate candidates across these northern battlegrounds. You'll notice there's only one candidate, Ren, one who has an unfavorable rating higher than his favorable rating, and it is significantly higher. Look how far underwater Abdul al-Sayed is. He is 13 points underwater, under there in Lake Michigan. My goodness gracious. Troy Jackson in Maine, he's at +1. You got Sherrod Brown at +4 in Ohio, and Josh Turek in Iowa way above there at +18 points. This is extremely unusual. Again, across the map, Democrats have done such a good job recruiting candidates who are well-liked by the voters. Again, I looked at all the Fox News polls. All the Democrats were above water except for Abdul al-Sayed, and he is 13 points underwater. This is all about Abdul al-Sayed being a weak candidate, at least in the minds of the voters.
And so then just putting that in perspective, too, in the state of Michigan, this is, I mean, you touched on this, right? But this is especially important when you look at things in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, okay. So you look at this first slide, right? You see that Mike Rogers is ahead, right, by 4 points. Well, I was interested because I couldn't think of another example where you actually had a Democratic candidate who was down at least 4 points. 4 points in a Senate poll in Michigan. And it turns out for this entire century, Abdul al-Sayed is the only one in a poll that meets CNN standards for publication. This is extremely, extremely, extremely unusual. Abdul al-Sayed breaking records in the ways that you don't want to. In fact, he is the first Democrat down by this much, as I said, in a century since 1994. Now, I will note, obviously, we have a campaign to go, and I think there are different ways you can look at this metric, right? That's put. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, just look at these numbers. Okay, top issue, a midterm vote. You can list up the 3 issues. The economy, not surprisingly, comes in at number 1 at 54%. Immigration, 28%. Look where climate change is. It's tied for 14th. Tied for 14th, all the way down here at 3%. Johnny, I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, but I sure as heck know that 54% is a whole heck of a lot higher than 3%. So despite the climate being so warm in the month of July, the hottest month on record here in the United States of America, the voters simply put do not say that climate change is going to be an issue in which they vote upon in the midterm election.
And how much people are concerned has been changing over time.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, the other thing, which is, you know, how much concern is there when it comes over time? And you see this 3% here, and you can see these slides right here. Say climate change is a very big problem. In 2016, it was 40%. It was 40%. Look where we are in 2026. It's 39%. It's 39%. Now, Johnny B., you know, you're talking about change. Where the change we have seen is partisanship, right? And what we can see is Republicans, more so than anybody else, have been shifting away from the idea that climate change is a top issue for them. Take a look at this. The least important issue for Republicans, it's just at 14% in terms of saying that climate change is a very big problem. So we're seeing a large partisan split, but when it comes together, Democrats are going in one direction, Republicans are going in another direction. But when you put those two together, the bottom line is we're only talking about 2 in 5 Americans, both now and 10 years ago, saying that climate change is a very big problem.
This is an all New York accent hit, I'm noticing this time. You're leaning into that.
I'm leaning into it.
Because it was hot in July in New York.
Yes.
So to what extent do people blame, you know, human activity for this?
So you see this 40%, you see this 39%. Now I really am leaning into the New York accent. Say it's humans causing the earth to warm. Look at this. In 2016, it was 45%. Now it's 48%. Shifted all that much, and you can just see it right here. Okay, so we're talking about voters favoring photo ID to vote. Among all voters, we're talking 77%. And this is uniform, basically, or universal, I should say. Universal. Democrats, 62%. Independents, 77%. Republicans, 95%. This is something that is popular across the political spectrum. It is a rare thing that is popular across the political spectrum. When it comes to voter ID, the voters are with President Trump on this, whether they're Democrats, independents, or Republicans. Overall, very clear. We're talking about 3 in 4 overall who support the idea of photo ID in order to vote.
Even 62% of Democrats show an ID when you show up to vote. Now, showing a very specific ID when you register to vote, proof of citizenship like a passport, birth certificate, or real ID, which not every state has. How do voters feel about that?
Yeah, okay, so I think this might be a little bit more in the eye of the beholder. Johnny and I were talking about this. So document proving citizenship to vote. What you can see here is, again, it's clear the majority are for it. The majority are with President Trump here. We're talking about 54% of Americans. We've seen this in poll after poll after poll. It is lower than the voter ID, but it is clear. You get that 54% who support it. You get 37% opposed, which is a sizable minority, but definitely lower than the majority. And then among independents, which is a group that President Trump has really struggled with, you still see it here, right? You see the majority of it, or the plurality of independents, 49% supporting the idea of needing document proving citizenship to vote, 49% versus 38% who are opposed. So whether it's overall or independents, yes, the support is lower than it is for voter ID, but it is very clear that the majority of people are in fact for it.
It's definitely a majority. It's still not the 80%
No.
for voter ID when you show up to vote with the photo there. This is showing proof of citizenship to register there. There are voting, public interest groups who say not everyone has.
Let us think back through our history just a little bit. My friends, this great nation has always bounced back beautifully when our leaders truly put the people first. From the brave pioneers who built wonderful towns out of the dusty ground, to the hardworking men and women who won wars and built our safe neighborhoods. President Trump carries that exact same strong, unbreakable spirit today. He is tough, he is straightforward, and he simply never backs down from a fight for us. He loves this country with every single fiber of his being, and it really shows in everything he does. The happy folks at the rallies, waving their bright flags and singing together in the sunshine, they feel that deep, warm connection. An older veteran I met at a friendly gathering put it best. He looked at me with tears of pride shining in his eyes and me, said, "Trump reminds me why I put on the uniform and served this great land. He puts our country ahead of the politicians." The troubles we are seeing with leaders like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not just numbers on a piece of paper. They are a clear, loud sign that the old ways of dividing us are falling apart for good. The people are realizing that chasing radical ideas while ignoring the struggles of everyday families just does not work anymore. The working class folks who used to hold firm to that party are shifting their path because they see the clear, bright truth. America thrives when we secure our borders, protect our important elections with simple ID checks, and put American workers first instead of chasing dreams that never quite work out for the regular guy. And what is the beautiful impact of all this? Walk through any small town or busy city neighborhood these days, and you can truly feel a fresh breeze in the air. Families are breathing easier around the dinner table. Knowing the leadership in the White House is focused on real strength and true prosperity. Kids are growing up with the bright hope that their future is secure because good, honest jobs are finally coming home. Neighbors are talking over their fences about how wonderful it feels to see patriotism rising again, with bright American flags flying proud and high on porches, not hidden away in closets. This is so important right now, especially as we look forward to the upcoming midterms, with our country moving forward so beautifully under President Trump's hopeful vision. The more people wake up and choose to put America first, the stronger we all become together as one big family. I have seen enough in my long life to know that when regular, good-hearted folks stand up for common sense, for true freedom, and for our own citizens, absolutely nothing can stop us. President Trump's leadership is bringing people together who used to be on opposite sides, united by real results and plain, honest talk. So let us keep pushing forward with kindness, courage, and strength. Support the good rules that keep us safe and grow our businesses. Tell your friends the good truth about what is happening across our land. This massive shift is beautiful proof that the strong American spirit is alive and well today. God bless President Trump. God bless our brave military and first responders. And God bless the United States of America, always first, always strong, and always free. We are just getting started, my dear friends, and our very best days are still ahead. Thank you so much for sitting with me and letting an old man share his heart today right here on American News Today. If this story brought a warm smile to your face or put a little extra hope in your day, please do me a favor and hit that like button and share this video with someone you care about. And if you want to keep hearing these good, honest stories about our beautiful country, make sure to subscribe to the channel. May God bless you all, and I will see you next time.